Painted for the Marchese Vincenzo Giussiani at the beginning of the 17th century, the incredulity of St. Thomas was the most copied of all Caravaggio's paintings in its day. It now hangs in the Sanssouci Picture Gallery, not in southern Sydney, but in Potsdam, Germany. At Easter, Thomas missed the Lord's appearance to the others and dismissed it as wishful thinking. Unless I see the holes that the nails made in his hands and put my finger there, and unless I can put my hand into his side, I refuse to believe, Thomas said. Now on Low Sunday, it's Thomas's turn to encounter the risen Lord. Caravaggio has Jesus pulling open his white robe and guiding Thomas's wrist towards the wound in his side. The hands becoming a new lance, so that we can look upon the one they have pierced. Thomas puts his finger in the hole, while two other apostles, and we, look on. It's a fascinating and intimate scene, not least because the artist eschews all surroundings, using only theatrical light and darkness to draw our eyes to what matters most. Here we see empirical man, demanding proof and persuasion, and an indulgent rather than reproachful God, eliciting faith in something greater. All three apostles seem to be looking beyond Christ's wounds to something else, to Thomas's declaration, "My Lord and my God." A recent critic punned that Caravaggio's painting is one of the most famous pokes in art history, and sympathised with Thomas, who's only remembered for his incredulity. Maybe there's more going on here this morning than a hard-hearted materialist demanding evidence and being scolded for it. First, when Jesus meets his friends on Easter Day, he shows them all his hands and side. So Thomas wasn't being especially obtuse, or Jesus being especially critical. No, what Thomas wanted to verify was this: not just that Jesus was alive, but that it was really Jesus who was alive. Thomas had already seen Jesus' power over death. He didn't need to be persuaded of that. Why he wanted to be sure was that this was neither fantasy nor ghost. The ancients believed a soul could wander the earth or the underworld, separated from its body. But Thomas knew that that would be no true human person. No, we are bodily beings. If this is really Jesus who is risen, Thomas knows it must be the bodily Jesus, however strangely new that body may be. Here Jesus teaches, and Thomas grasps, a crucial part of our Christian faith. That the resurrection isn't about some new us. It's about making us new, better, best. Thomas's inquiry is about identity and continuity. And Jesus' answer is that there is no rupture between the I of this world and the I of the resurrection. But hold on. Jesus ends with the last and greatest of his Beatitudes. Happy are those who have not seen and yet believe. So should Thomas have asked his questions and demanded his proofs? Or should he have stopped all the questions and just believed? Both, of course. Jesus is man, and so we can see and touch him, be inspired by his teaching, impressed by his actions. But Jesus is more than a great man, a revolutionary teacher, a spiritual guru. He is the revelation and power of the unseen God. Thomas sees the man and professes the God. He is an example of an integrated intelligence, of perception, imagination, and memory working together to grasp reality. A man of both faith and reason. Seeing is believing, in the sense that it often precedes and prompts our understanding. But believing is seeing also, seeing more deeply, beyond the obvious and the comfortable. On the 13th of August 1967, at St Michael's Lane Cove, Monsignor Hughie Maguire gave me my first Holy Communion. Sister Mary Eucharia, a Sister of Mercy and my Year 2 teacher, prepared me for the sacrament, teaching me in simple terms that this was the bodily Jesus, but also the spiritual God. She thought it would help us to grasp this if we said Thomas's words, "My Lord and my God," at the consecration. And more than 5 decades later, I'm still doing so. What might all this say to us in a time when in St. Peter's today, as St. Peter says today, we are plagued by all sorts of trials? His thought in his epistle is that this is a test of our mettle. And undoubtedly our character and ideals are being tried right now. Peter challenges us to demonstrate more than ordinary human virtue. Christians under pressure must reflect not only Jesus, the perfect human being, but also the supernatural faith and hope from Jesus, who is God. If that is true of individual believers in times of trial, it should also be true of the Christian community. So our first reading challenges the Church to be faithful to the apostolic teaching if it is to draw more people day by day. To be faithful to the fraternity between its members so that they share ever more gladly and generously. Above all, to be faithful to the breaking of the bread and the Eucharistic prayers. If you can't celebrate the Eucharist in the temple, the Acts of the Apostles suggest, do so at home. Or by live streaming, you can do both. Happily, we are seeing such natural and supernatural virtue such human and divine qualities in spades amongst our people at present. They are finding new ways to share their faith and ideals, to connect with and look after each other, to share and pray. With Thomas and Caravaggio, with Sister Mary Eucharia and the First Communion class of 1967, we can say, even from our TV rooms, when we see the elevated host, "My Lord and my God." And from the host, he says back to us, "Blessed are you who have not seen and yet believe."